Hello and welcome back to Reddit Recreations, your place for some chilled out vibes and a few Reddit stories. Today we're looking at r/BadNeighbours, inspired by my previous video where I went down a bit of a rabbit hole. And this story comes from Ron's Clones and is titled, "Neighbour got my Amazon package and was wearing it when he answered the door." Already, I love that title. Long story short, Amazon takes photos now when they deliver packages. My wife walked around the neighbourhood and knocked on the door that matched the photo. He seemed flustered and then she noticed he was wearing the actual shirt that came in the Amazon package. This was a woman's shirt, but not a feminine looking shirt. He took it off and put it in the Walmart bag. And we also had to ask for her daughter's gymnastic leotard that also came in the package. The t-shirt smelled like poo-poo and is covered in dog fur. We let Amazon know what happened and they are replacing the entire order. They couldn't believe the nerve of my neighbour and are shocked to say the least. I'm a nice neighbour, I've never had any altercations with this neighbour and don't plan to in the future. I'm sure he feels embarrassed. But what else would/should I do? I feel very awkward. Oh no. I mean, what else can you do other than just avoid this neighbour in the future and make sure you let every delivery driver know, do not leave it with this person. My God, that is, I can imagine from the neighbour's point of view, they get a delivery and it's just, we've got a free t-shirt, hey great, and then you're wearing it when the person knocks on the door. Hey, excuse me mate, have you seen my t-shirt? No. That's your t-shirt, just has a picture of their face on it. Got a top comment from agoraphobic recluse that says, I once opened an Amazon package in a hurry without checking the label because I was expecting something. Turns out it wasn't for me and belonged to my neighbour. I was horrified that I had opened it. Lucky we are good friends and he just laughed when I took it to him while falling all over myself to apologise. I cannot imagine actually keeping anything not meant for me. That's pretty low. Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember, I don't think I've ever accidentally opened someone else's things, but yeah, literally this person, if I did, I'd be like, I'm so sorry, give it back. And I'd go, well, it's not mine, but this t-shirt does look pretty sweet. And then make it all smell like poo-poo, apparently. That's its own red flag for your neighbour there, the fact that he had your t-shirt for a day and it all smells like poo-poo. Yeah, you don't want to go in that house. Another top comment from Black Sheepy. We watched our neighbour take our package from the delivery guy last year. We gave them a week to realise their mistake. My significant other finally went to the door and said he was checking around the neighbourhood to see if anyone received it by mistake. Right away they said no, and he mentioned that the only reason he asked was because Amazon requires a police report for lost delivery packages, and we also saw them on our security cameras receiving something on the property line. The instant they heard that, they went into their house to double check. Came out with our package not even 2 minutes later, still unopened. Recently found out the same neighbour was arrested in 2013 for stealing and then using a debit card at a shoe store. What a happy coincidence. Oh, well, actually, now you mentioned the police are coming. I think I have your package right here, sir. Wow. I'm so glad that my interactions with my neighbours are just minimal at best. Maybe if you meet them in the corridor on the way out, it's a hi, little head nod, that's all you really get. I try to be the best upstairs neighbour of all time, doing upstairs neighbour things like dance party at 2 a.m. Just sometimes I'd like to just smack pots and pans on the kitchen floor about 4:30 a.m. Just standard upstairs neighbour stuff. Now the next one comes from It's Fish 20. It says, am I a jerk? Oh, we're getting a little cross post here. Am I the jerk for not caring if I smoke marijuana in my backyard in a legal state if all my neighbours smoke cigars or cigarettes outside? I love to give my opinion of these Am I Jerks when I've just read the title, because 90% of the time the actual context proves the title wrong. Like a lot of times you can read the title and be like, yeah, you're a jerk, and then you read the context, actually fine. Or you're not a jerk, then you read the context like, well, actually you are. So I'm going to give my deliberation immediately. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. I think it's contextual. I do think it's contextual. I understand. I feel like a lot of people will say no, it's your backyard, it's legal, it's fine, just do it. You're not a jerk. And I get that way of thinking. However, it depends on how close you are to their yard, how much it travels over to the yard, because, I mean, like, cigars and cigarettes are one thing. They smell and they stink, but sometimes when you're smoking marijuana, it can really smell badly and strong. If you've got some of that sticky icky and it's just floating right into the garden, right through a window that might be open, could be going in the house, that smell can travel, and it is not nice. It is not a nice smell. I get if you smoke all the time, you probably like the smell, but it's just pungent. And I think that it's important to take into context how that smell is affecting the other garden. Are you smoking right next to it? Is it coming straight over? Is it filling their garden with the smell? Do they have any open windows that it can go through? I think that is very important to think about, and people often miss that a lot of people don't like the smell, and it is a very strong smell, and it is a very off-putting smell. Whereas if someone's smoking a cigarette opposite you, you probably can't smell it. You could probably smell it on them after they're done, or you can maybe smell it if you get close to them. But if someone's smoking a joint opposite you, it's all you can smell. It's very aggressive. So I think contextually, I'd say you're not a jerk. But if it turns out you're like right up against the fence and there's nowhere else and all of the smell's billowing in, then I think you could be a jerk. So it says, I just bought a house in the suburbs of a large US city in a legal rec state. All of my neighbours are in their 60s to 70s and all sit outside and chain smoke. My direct north neighbour is usually out every single morning between 7:30 to 8 AM smoking a cigar while doing some sort of yard work. Since I've moved in, I roll the occasional joint or pack a bowl and go work on the yard and think nothing of it. I've been approached by both of the wives on both sides of the yard about it and how it's a bad thing, how much it stinks and how it's ruining society. I've just said, okay, cool, thanks, and kind of walked away from the fence and finished smoking in the garden. Now I have no problem whatsoever with them smoking cigs and cigars outside, so why should they care if I smoke weed? Am I the jerk for thinking this way? So after reading that story, I think I'm going to stick with what I said. I don't believe you are the jerk, however, I need to see some dimensions of your garden. I need to see how much space you've got. I need to see how well that is going to waft over into the garden, because, like I said, I get it's your garden, I get it's a free state, but if they're sitting outside, 60, 70-year-old people, and the whole place just starts stinking of marijuana because you're smoking up, it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be pleasant for anyone who doesn't smoke marijuana. So, I don't know, I think you can definitely try and be more considerate. You can definitely have an olive branch to reach out. Like, look, I understand that you don't like it, but times are changing, old man. Times are changing, old lady. But let's come to some sort of agreement, some way we can make this work for all of us. I don't know, maybe get a little shed in the garden, smoke in there, or I don't know, get a outside chimney, just stand in a little tower, just a mini 2x2 brick tower, and smoke in there so it all goes directly up. I don't know, but if you put your mind to it, I'm sure you can find some way to make this work for everyone. Because if you don't like this smell, then it's just not nice. It's just not pleasant at all. I think a lot of times people that smoke, they forget that people don't like it. They don't like the smell. They don't like anything. And there is also that genuine fear of, if there's some smoke coming over from someone smoking near you, that could affect you as well. So I can understand their point of view here. I don't think this is just a classic case of old people being crotchety and grumpy and not being happy with anything. It could be. It could very well be. But that's why I said I think we need more context. The top comment from Glum Girl says, "You are not a jerk. I tell your neighbours that you'd start smoking inside when they do. It might also be fun to throw statistics about the dangers of secondhand tobacco smoke at them." Next top comment from Desktop Chill says, "Not the jerk. The old biddies are still reacting to the propaganda of the government. Ignore them. And oh, of course, laughter. Silly old heifers." I have never seen the word heifers before. Is that like a slur for old people? Let's check that out. Heifers. A cow that has not borne a calf, or was born only one calf? Okay. Silly old cows. I guess it said silly old cows. That is very rude. This is the thing where people get too wrapped up in the my house, I should do what I want. Yes, you should. However, if that is affecting and impacting other people nearby, you should at least take it into context. Next comment's from Deleted. No, it's not. It's your legal property and you own that property. I would keep interactions on the off chance they get stupider and call the cops. And then lastly, there's a post from Shiver Me Bits that says, it's like smoking a cigarette on your backyard. I'd say it's like drinking beers in your backyard too, but I feel like that it's not something that can waft into a neighbour's yard. It's kind of a weak comparison here. If rec is legal or you have a med card, you really don't have much to worry about. You can always try and be discreet when you're outside, or at least not overtly obvious. At the very least, not only do you have state law on your side, but neighbours might even realise it's you, or maybe respect that you're trying to be polite. Unless, of course, you're doing it to be obnoxious because you're sick of the cigar smell. In that case, I'd say be as obnoxious as your imagination limits you. It's legal, they can't call the cops on the wind blowing into their yard, and weed smells 100 times better than a cigar. I think again the smell is definitely subjective. If these people are used to it, then they are probably on the other side as well. Like, they probably can't imagine that people don't like the smell of cigars. It's just, I think there's just too much of a disconnect, and I think just normally talking things out is the way to go. Obviously, I read Reddit stories on this channel. I understand a lot of times that doesn't work and things go too far, but you've got to try firstly. I think just approach this with a modicum of respect first. And now I'm going to pass it over to you, the viewer. Let me know in the comments what you think about these stories. What would you do if your neighbour was wearing your t-shirt when you knocked on the door? And what would you do if you were smoking up in the garden and your neighbours were complaining about it? Well, thank you anyway for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I do post new Reddit videos every single day. And I will see you again next time. Recently found out that same neighbour was arrested in 13 for stealing and then used a debit card and a shoe store. They used a shoe store. My God, this man needs to be stopped.